The war started without warning. One moment, Captain Reid was standing on the command deck of Outpost Vega 9, sipping stale coffee. The next, alarms were screaming, lights flashing red, and his officers were shouting over each other. A fleet of unknown ships had entered human territory. Their designs were strange curved silver hulls, glowing blue cores, and no heat signatures. They didn't look like any known enemy. Unknown class. No response to hails, the comms officer said. Her hands trembled on the console. Reid leaned forward. Ready the railguns, alert command. I want full scans now. Before the weapons could lock on, every screen in the command center turned black. Static buzzed through the speakers. Then a voice spoke, clear, cold, female. This sector is now under control of the Valari Empire. Stand down and await reassignment. Reid's face twisted. What the hell is a Valari Empire? The lights shut off. Gravity shifted. Every human soldier dropped to one knee, forced by an invisible pressure. A shimmering portal opened on the deck. Out of it stepped someone none of them expected. She was small, barely 5 feet tall, slim, with light lavender skin and glowing silver eyes. Her black uniform had golden markings and a long, sharp collar. Despite her size, she moved like she owned the place. Reid forced himself to stand. Who are you? The alien girl glanced around the room. I am Commander Virell, 5th daughter of the Valari Corps. Your rank is revoked, Captain. You now report to me. Laughter rippled through the command crew. It stopped when Virell raised her hand. Every console shut down. Weapons failed. Gravity twisted again, and all screens showed strange Valari symbols. She had control of everything. Reid clenched his jaw. You come onto my outpost, uninvited, and expect me to hand it over? Virell walked up to him, chin tilted up, eyes glowing brighter. She didn't even reach his shoulders, but Reid could feel her power pressing into his skin like heat. I don't expect anything, she said calmly. I've already taken it. The deck shuddered again. A new ship had docked, massive, sleek, and Valari. Hundreds of tiny black drones crawled out, slipping through vents, walls, even the air ducts. Within minutes, they had mapped the outpost. Some began repairing old systems. Others cleaned the floor or carried boxes as if they had been there for years. The soldiers stared in disbelief. Reid didn't blink. This is still a human military installation, he said. We don't answer to invaders. Virell tilted her head. Your government signed surrender terms last cycle. Your outpost is now property of the Valari Empire. You may continue serving under new orders. She raised a small device. It glowed blue and sent a wave through the room. Instantly, all human weapons deactivated. The lights turned cold white. The air smelled different, cleaner, sharper. Reid's hand went to his sidearm. It was gone. I'm not serving under a child, he muttered. Virell looked at him again. This time, something deeper flickered in her eyes. Not anger. Not pride. Pity. You do not understand what's coming, she said softly. This was the soft landing. The next fleet won't ask. Her words felt like a warning. Reid looked at his crew. Some looked ready to fight. Others looked unsure. A few already seemed to be accepting it. Why are you really here? He asked. Virell's eyes narrowed. To prevent your extinction. Then she walked past him, stepping onto the command platform like it was hers. She pressed her hand to the console, and it lit up, reshaping itself to her design. Alien code ran across the glass. In moments, the station's systems worked better than they had in years. Reid didn't move. His entire command taken without a shot fired, and somehow, he knew this was just the beginning. Captain Reid didn't sleep that night. He sat in his quarters, staring at the empty screen on his desk. Every system he used to control was locked. The password didn't work. His access was removed. He was a guest in his own station, or maybe a prisoner. Outside his door, Two black Velari drones hovered silently. They didn't speak, didn't move. Just floated there like shadows with glowing eyes dotted exactly 0600 hours. The lights brightened, and a tone sounded across the station. Attention. All crew are to report to Central Bay. Assembly in 10 minutes. The voice was Virell's, calm. Icy. Reid put on his uniform, though it didn't feel like his anymore. The rank on his collar meant nothing now. He passed other soldiers in the hallway. Some walked quickly, avoiding his eyes. A few gave him a small nod. But no one said a word. In Central Bay, the full crew stood in formation. Over 100 people, technicians, engineers, security, all quiet, all tense. Virell stood at the front, looking small against the massive walls of the bay. But her presence filled the room like she was 10 feet tall. She raised her hand. From today forward, she said, you will operate under Velari protocol. Your roles have not changed, your orders have. A soft hum filled the air. Drones floated down, each holding a small glowing square. Step forward when your name is called, Virell continued. You will receive a Velari badge. It links to your new assignment, new access level, and your life record. One by one, names were called. Crew members stepped up. Some hesitated. Some took the badge with shaking hands. A few looked at Reid before moving. He didn't move. When his name came, Captain Marcus Reid, the entire room turned. Virell looked at him. Step forward. He didn't. I didn't accept your command, he said, voice low. You don't have to, she answered. But refusal means reassignment. Reassignment? Deck 9. Cargo bay maintenance. No command access. No quarters. No communications. Whispers moved through the crowd. Reid stepped forward slowly until he stood in front of her. She held out the badge. I'm not your enemy, she said, quietly enough that only he could hear. But the next wave will be. I need humans who can lead when it comes. He stared at the glowing square. It looked small, light, but it felt heavy in his mind. He didn't take it. I'll go to Deck 9, he said. Virell lowered her hand. She said nothing. Two drones appeared beside him, ready to escort. Reid turned and walked away. He didn't look back. Hours passed. Deck 9 was cold, loud, and smelled of oil. Old pipes hissed, walls leaked. The floor buzzed under his boots. This was where old systems died and were forgotten. He worked alone, stripping broken cables and sorting junk. No one visited him. Until that night. The door hissed open behind him. He turned fast, ready for drones. But it wasn't a drone. It was Virell. She stood quietly in the doorway, her boots leaving no sound on the metal floor. In her hand she held the same glowing badge. You made your point, she said. But time is running out. Reid looked at her with tired eyes. You've got your army of machines. What do you need me for? Virell didn't answer right away. She walked toward a wall panel and tapped it. A projection appeared, an image of a planet in flames. Human colonies, burning, screaming. This is Sector 14, your people, she said. Wiped out in hours. We gave warnings. No one listened. Reid stared at the image. It looked real. Too real. You think I care about medals and orders, Virell said. I don't. I care about surviving what's coming. She stepped closer, held the badge out again. I need humans beside me who don't break when challenged. You didn't break. Reid stayed quiet. Finally, he reached out and took the badge. The glow pulsed, and in that moment, something in the station changed again. Reid stood in the center of the operations hub again, but this time, as an observer. Velari drones moved with sharp speed, their dark metal arms adjusting panels, checking power levels, and rerouting data. The humans were no longer the only ones running the station. They were sharing it, quietly, uneasily. Virell stood at the main console, commanding everything with small hand gestures. Alien code danced across the screen. Her silver eyes flicked through data faster than any human officer ever could. Reid's new badge pulsed faintly at his chest. "Status?" he asked, walking toward her. She didn't look up. 5 human colonies have fallen in the outer rim. A 6th is under attack. "You still think this is about your rank?" Reid crossed his arms. "You could have just asked for help." Virell looked at him now. "We did. Through trade, through peace talks, you ignored us, so we came directly." Reid didn't argue. He knew it was true. Earth's leaders had laughed at Valari warnings, called them paranoid, said no enemy could match the human fleet, but now entire sectors were silent. Suddenly, the alarm blared again. This time, the tone was sharp, urgent. The lights shifted to deep red. On the main screen, a ship appeared. It was huge, twice the size of the Valari cruiser docked at Vega 9. Its shape was jagged, built for war. No life signs, no broadcasts. Just cold metal and power. Virell's eyes narrowed. "Ren-class Predator vessel. They're here." Reid's heart sank. "That thing's not Valari?" "No," she said. "That's what wiped out Sector 14 inches." The station shook slightly. Everyone felt it. The crew scrambled into position. Drones moved faster. Shields activated. Turrets rotated. Reid looked at Virell. "What do we have that can stop that?" She tapped her console. "If we combine your railguns with my shield tech, we might survive the first strike." "Might?" She gave a small, tight smile. "That's better odds." Then Sector 14. Reid rushed to the weapons bay. His instincts took over. He barked orders, and to his surprise, both humans and Valari drones listened. His crew moved as one. For the first time since the invasion, it felt like they were truly working together. He didn't have command, but he had respect. A heavy boom shook the deck. The enemy ship had fired. A blue beam cut through space, slamming into the outer shield. Sparks flew across the ceiling. One of the power grids failed. Lights flickered. "We need more power to the upper defense ring." Reid shouted. Virell's voice came through the intercom. "Redirecting Valari core energy. Stand by." Another beam fired. But this time, the shield held. Reid stared in shock. "You actually did it." "We did it," Virell answered. "Now return fire." Reid slammed the control panel. The railguns roared to life, firing 2 high-density shots. They slammed into the side of the enemy vessel. A small explosion. Not much, but enough to get its attention. On the screen, the enemy ship began to turn. "It's targeting us," someone said. Reid gritted his teeth. "Let it come. We're not running." The crew stood their ground. For the next hour, the battle raged. Explosions rocked the station. Fires broke out. One hallway collapsed. Several drones were destroyed. But so was part of the enemy ship. And finally, the monster ship pulled back, slowly, carefully. It vanished into dark space. Silence fell across the station. Reid looked around. Some people were injured. Some panels were black. But they were still standing. He looked at Virell, who now stood beside him. "You saved us." He shook her head. "No, you did. You refused to fall apart. You made them believe." Reid didn't reply, but in his chest, something shifted. He wasn't just fighting for humans anymore. He was fighting for survival. Together. The enemy ship was gone, but no one felt safe. The crew worked through the night, repairing damage and sealing broken walls. Medical drones moved from room to room, patching wounds. Sparks flew from hanging wires. The station had survived. Barely. Reid stood in the command center, watching the stars. His uniform was torn. His face was covered in smoke and sweat. But his eyes stayed sharp. Behind him, Virell approached quietly. "You should rest," she said. "I will," he replied. When I stop hearing screaming in the walls. She tilted her head. That's not memory, that's real. Reid turned. What do you mean? She tapped her bracelet, and a quiet hum spread through the air. One of the side panels opened, revealing a hidden Virell storage room. Inside were tall glowing tubes, each one holding something strange. Metal pieces, dark energy cores, and a floating crystal that pulsed like a heartbeat. These are soul fragments, Virell explained, taken from other ships that fell. Reid stepped closer, eyes narrowing. Are they alive? Not in the way you understand, she said, but they remember. They echo what they've seen. Their fear never fades. He felt a chill. Why bring them here? They're warnings, she said. Proof of what's coming. Reid stared at the crystal. It flickered, then whispered in a voice not its own. A scream. A roar. A name. Zar'kul. Virell. Stiffened. You heard that too? Reid nodded slowly. What is Zar'kul? She looked at him, and for the first time, he saw something in her eyes that wasn't control or power. It was fear. They're not just hunters, she whispered. They're feeders. They devour minds. They take voices, memories, entire bloodlines. Whole species vanish, not just killed, erased. Reid's chest tightened. Why are they coming now? Virell turned back to the stars. Because something's waking them up. Something big. Maybe even your species, Reid frowned. You think humans caused this? She didn't answer, but the silence said enough. Later that day, a message came through an old Earth signal, cracked with static. It was from a nearby outpost, Eco 7. The message was short. Enemy inside. Not safe, help us, then it. Cut off. Reid looked at Virell. We need to go. She didn't argue. I'll prepare a team. 2 hours later, a small transport ship launched from Vega 9. Inside were 3 human soldiers, 4 Virell drones, and 1 strange pair, Reid and Virell, sitting side by side. The team was silent as they traveled through empty space. The stars outside were cold, quiet. Watching. Reid glanced at her. Do you always do this? Take over enemy stations and try to save people, Virell answered calmly. I wasn't supposed to lead this mission. My sisters refused it. They said humans weren't worth saving. But you came anyway, Reid said. She nodded once. Because I saw something in the first human I met. You weren't afraid to stand when everything fell. I wanted to know why. Reid looked away. Maybe I'm too stubborn. Virell gave a tiny smile. Or maybe you're the only kind of leader that matters. The ship neared Echo 7. No lights. No signals, just a dark station in deep space. As they docked, Virell placed her hand on the control panel. A soft glow moved across the glass. She looked at Reid. This place is quiet, she said, but not empty. The door opened. And the shadows inside moved. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Cold air rushed in sharp and still. The lights inside Echo 7 flickered, casting long shadows that twisted across the walls. No sounds of footsteps. No voices, just silence. Reid stepped in first, rifle raised. Behind him came the 3 soldiers, then Virell and her Virell drones. The hallway smelled wrong, like old metal, burned plastic, and something faintly rotten. This place hasn't been powered in days, one soldier said. Virell touched a nearby panel. Her hand glowed faintly, and alien symbols appeared on the file. Wall, she read them quickly. No energy. Emergency systems were overridden. But the main reactor, it wasn't shut down. It was drained. Reid's eyes narrowed. Drained by what? She didn't answer. They moved deeper into the station. Old signs labeled the corridors. Medical, command, crew quarters. But every door they passed was open. Every room was empty. Beds were unmade. Food trays were still on tables. It was like everyone had left mid-step, or disappeared. In the medical Wing, one of the drones stopped suddenly. Its red eye blinked twice, then powered down. Reid turned. What happened? Virell walked over and scanned the drone. It's not damaged, it's afraid, Reid frowned. You made machines that can feel fear? They're linked to the core mind. When one sees something too terrible, it shuts down to protect the others. She turned toward the dark hallway ahead. Whatever's here, it's not natural. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed down the corridor. Everyone froze. Another thud. Then a scraping sound, like claws dragging across the walls. The team aimed their weapons. The lights flickered again. Virell whispered, "Don't run. It senses movement." Something stepped into view from the far end of the hallway. It was human. Or it used to be. Its skin was gray and cracked like stone. Its eyes glowed with strange blue light. Its movements were stiff, like it was being controlled. It opened its mouth and a different voice came out. Not its own. "You came too late," it said. "They are already inside." Reid stepped forward. "Who are you?" The voice answered through the body. "We are the memory of Zar'kul. We take, we reshape, we speak through the forgotten." Then the body collapsed. Virell stepped over it and scanned the floor. "There's something under the station. I can feel it pulling at the core field. Something old, buried deep." The crew moved fast now, down a maintenance tunnel, through hidden passageways, until they reached a sealed vault. Reid looked at Virell. "What is this?" She looked troubled. "It's not part of your human station. This was built long before." She waved her hand. The vault hissed and opened. Inside was a black crystal sphere, floating in the center of a glowing ring. Strange shapes moved inside it. Not light, not shadow. Something in between. "It's a seed," she whispered. "A fragment of their mind." That's how they spread through forgotten places, through abandoned systems. They plant themselves where people stop looking. Reid stared at it. "And this station became its voice," she said. "And its prison." The sphere pulsed. The room darkened. Suddenly, the walls trembled. The lights flickered violently. A deep voice filled the air. "You opened the door." Virell grabbed Reid's wrist. "We need to destroy it, now." "But if we do," he looked at the crystal, "what happens to the people it took?" She shook her head. "They're already gone. But if we wait, so are we." Reid took a deep breath. Then he stepped forward and raised his weapon. One shot. The crystal cracked. The scream that followed shook the entire station. Then everything went black. Reid opened his eyes. The room was dark, silent, cold. The black crystal was gone, shattered into dust. Pieces of it floated in the air like ash. The glowing ring was cracked. Sparks jumped across broken circuits. He groaned and pushed himself up. His head throbbed. His arm was bleeding. But he was alive. "Virell." He called. No answer. He looked around. One soldier was still breathing, slumped against the wall. The rest. Gone. He heard something moving in the shadows. A faint hum. A soft, steady breath. Then she stepped into view. Virell, limping, one arm holding her side. Her silver eyes were dim, but still alive. "You're awake," she said. Reid let out a shaky breath. "Did we stop it?" She nodded. "The shard is destroyed. The voice is silent, for now." He looked at her closely. "What did it take from?" She didn't speak right away. Then she whispered, "A memory of my first bond sister. I can't remember her name anymore. Only that I loved her." Reid felt a lump in his throat. "I'm sorry." Virell shook her head slowly. "It's a small price." They helped the injured soldier up and made their way back to the ship. The station was dead now. Lights gone. Energy drained. No voices. No movement. Just silence. As the transport lifted off, Reid looked down at Echo 7 through the window. A dark shell floating in space. A reminder of how close they had come to something worse than death. Back at Vega 9, the crew welcomed them with quiet respect. No cheers. No celebrations, just tired eyes and steady hands. Word spread fast Reid had destroyed the mine fragment. And Virell had stood with him. The Velari Council sent a message soon after. It was short. Commander Virell is recalled to the Corps. Immediate extraction ordered. Reid stood beside her in the docking bay as she prepared to leave. She wore her dark uniform again, freshly repaired. But something had changed in her eyes. "You're really leaving?" he asked. "It's not my choice," she said softly. "I broke protocol. I bonded with a human. I shared command. Will they punish you?" She gave a small smile. "They'll study me, ask questions. They'll try to understand why I trusted you." Reid stepped forward. "And what will you tell them?" She looked up at him. "That you weren't the strongest or the smartest. But when everything fell apart, you stood up and never looked away." A silence passed between them. Then she reached into her pocket and placed something in his hand, her badge. "You'll need this," she said. "They'll send others. You'll need to be ready." He held it tightly. "Will I see you again?" She looked into his eyes. "Only if you survive what comes next." The shuttle doors closed behind her. And just like that, she was gone. Weeks passed. Reid walked the station now with purpose. He had no official rank, but everyone listened to him. Even the Velari drones responded to his voice. He stood in the command center again, same stars, same station, but a different man, because he'd seen what was out there, and he'd stood beside a tiny alien officer who had trusted him to fight back, and now he was ready for whatever came next.